Welcome back to the Limelight Podcast, episode 3. I'm Lauren.
Guys, I am so excited about today's episode. We have a as special of a guest as it gets, and also I just love the topic too.
Yeah. And we have Chandler with us today, and then super special guest. We have producer Jules back. Let me send her face. So, Julia Bacchus, you probably remember her from previous seasons of the Limelight Podcast, but you also might have seen her on Meeting. She is now a marketing manager. Congratulations to her. Moving on up in life. And yeah, we're super excited to have you back on the podcast this week.
I'm super excited to be here, and it's going to be a fun topic, as Chandler said. So
That's what I'm saying.
Perfect. So let's start off with the limes and lemons. I can go ahead. This week, my lime is that I made really good Nashville hot tofu, like from scratch for the first time. It was super incredible, super obsessed, and I will be making it again. If anybody needs me at your Super Bowl parties, just give me a call. You know where to find me. And then my lemon this week is I have to go grocery shopping because I made so much food over the past week that I was going through my freezer last night and I've used like the last bag of like frozen vegetables, and that's already like what I use if I don't have like fresh stuff. So I need to go shopping bad.
Can't be that problem.
Makes sense.
Definitely a good problem to have.
Makes sense. Okay, I guess we'll save the best for last. We'll save Julia's for last. My lime is that my friend just recently became like an esthetician and works at actually a med spa in Grand Rapids. And since she's a med spa, she gets a lot of the benefits of an esthetician. So I just got to order like 5 or 6 items from Skin Better at like wholesale price, which was like $25 for like $150.
That slays. Our jaws don't bring in unison.
So I'm super excited about that. And then my lemon is, this thing sounds so like first world problems. So I have like this like little glass. It's almost like a wine glass, a stemless wine glass, but it's not a wine glass. It's just like a really cute cup. And I always make like a magnesium with tart cherry juice, like sleepy time, like mock girl, like sleepy girl drink. And I shattered the glass last night.
No.
So my favorite glass is gone forever.
Well, I guess you're just gonna have to find a new cool glass.
Okay, fine. I'll just buy another one.
Yeah.
Twist my arm. Well, my lime. Actually, I kind of want to start with my lemon. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I love it.
My lemon is that it's been like cold enough to where everything that was slush is now ice, and I'm a fall risk. Sorry,
Ooh.
I'm gonna slip. I'm not gonna wear shoes that have proper traction. That's just something about me. Sorry, I want my shoes to be cute. And so that's my lemon, is that like everything's in that weird stage of just pure ice on the ground. And my lime is all of the performances at the Grammys, but specifically Doechie's performance at the Grammys. It was every so passion, all of the references, like it was so good. So
Yeah,
just
no, the Grammys were so good this year, and that really kind of brings us into our current events. We'll start off with the Grammys. Honestly, first time in the last few years that I felt like the Grammys were actually, number one, enjoyable, and number two, actually playing to the audience of the people that watch it. I think they did something really interesting with how they chose to use it as like a fundraiser for the LA wildfire foundations and charities that they have. Really thought it was cool that they were highlighting local businesses. I know that was something that Jules and I were talking about earlier, how they kind of chose to use those commercial breaks and with celebrities to highlight local businesses that were affected. I think that was super awesome.
It felt like intentional influence, honestly.
It really did. It felt really awesome. And then our other current event for today, kind of aligning with today's topic. Did you hear that Remy Ashton accidentally leaked her basically briefing of her Aerie campaign?
I did see that.
Yeah. People are mad because basically she outed herself for getting paid $45,000 for 2 Instagram reels and 2 Instagram stories. And a lot of people are shocked and pissed off really by that number. They think it's too high. They think it's a lot. And
How many followers does she have?
Oh.
Like, is she like super famous?
so
Early.
yeah, she's an old-timey YouTuber, and I feel like a lot of those like like the DIY era, like early YouTubers, like the early 2010s have a really specific niche. Well, they did back then. Now they're a lot more broad, more almost like lifestyle influencers, but I mean, she's multiple millions. Like she's definitely someone that's up there with like oh, what's that one girl? Literally My Life with what's her name? Like that kind of vibe.
It's something about
Yeah.
Phil, like it doesn't surprise me that she was paid this much after working with influencers in the past because these brands got money to play with and they might as well give it to somebody who has that many followers and can do it. What you hope doesn't happen is that she doesn't use the right link. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That is
they don't work
so
to water,
crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to transition us into our first segment. We're going to call it something called Niche Navigator. Now, before we get into it, we just kind of want to start off with like the very, very basics of marketing, figuring out what your brand is. What is at the core of your brand? What are your goals? Who is your audience? What are their interests? Where are they located online? And what's going to lead that communication strategy to create a successful collaboration? Woo. Once you figure that out, you can you can kind of create that connection with an influencer that matches a lot of those brand ideals, that matches a similar audience. And then today we have Miss Jules with us, background in PR. She's worked with influencers in the past. I think you've got a lot of good knowledge about that. So we put a game together where we're going to give you a list of influencers. And what we want you to do is give us a brief description of what you think the influencer's audience or niche is, and maybe a brand that you think has a similar niche that would create a good collaboration. Now, to make things a little bit easier for you, when we give you the influencer, we're also going to give you a few recent collabs that they've done. I just think that will help you kind of see their niche and give a little bit of a full picture.
Perfect.
And we're going to start off with someone I know you love, Miss Bethany Frankel, reality star, we love her.
God bless her. Well,
Yeah.
Bethany. Well, who has she worked with in the past?
She's worked with L'Oreal, Dunkin', and then just recently I saw her do a collab with Bath and Body Works.
Okay, well, if you've seen Bethany on any social media, you know she can be a little unhinged. And that's kind of the beauty in her reviews. She's very herself. And I think that's when people like to look at like, those videos and maybe understand that she's being very real in them. So the two options that come to mind really quick for me, and like when you say, I know and love her, it's because I've been a Real Housewives of New York fan for a long time, and one of her most iconic lines, "Go to sleep," is something I yell at people all the time. In my personal life, I don't do it at work, don't worry. But knowing how she presents herself on her social media, I would say step one, maybe BetterHelp would be a good collab for her to have, because no one's perfect, and I think she's very very open about like the struggles she's had in her life. She was a Real Housewife, so clearly she's open to sharing her life. So I think that would be a good fit, and it's also a public benefit, right? Like it's an accessible way to have therapy. So I think that could be a really good collab for her. Another one, and this is because I am so entrenched in the Bravoverse, is I think that she could do a collaboration with maybe her and other housewives for Fenty, Fenty Beauty specifically. That's Rihanna's brand, if anyone doesn't understand or know that. And basically, Rihanna is publicly a extreme Housewives fan. And so I think she could do something really cool with them and have it be dynamic and have each of them kind of speak to something very personal to them and maybe like what makes them feel beautiful. And I could see Bethany being a big part of that because a lot of the stuff she's putting out online right now is around beauty and like de-influencing other brands that are maybe super hyped up or, you know, not hyped enough, that kind of thing. So I think those would be a couple of really good ones for Bethany.
Okay, so I'm curious what you think about this one because it's a little bit of a left turn. I feel like this one is like as PC as it gets.
Okay.
So this is Nara Smith. I'm sure everyone knows who Nara Smith is. I could literally spend hours just watching her cook. And I think it's something about like the ASMR of her voice. I'm like,
She does have such a soothing voice, doesn't she?
She does.
I know, and it's always in like a whisper too, and I'm like, I'm in for it.
Right.
But if you have ever seen any of her videos, you see that like she is like very clearly wearing off the runway like clothing. So she's obviously collaborated with a lot of artists. Marc Jacob. She's also done like Poppy because she's very much like all health and like natural whole ingredients. The bump suit, which is maternity clothes, because she obviously is like
15 kids.
she 100%, and she's always cooking for her kids.
Correct.
So I'm curious like what you think would be best because obviously almost all of her videos are either traveling, lifestyle, or cooking.
Yeah, so I kind of have a few different like niches that my mind goes to right away. First, I would say since she is like so organic, so crunchy type mom, I would say I could see her and again and maybe like a de-influencing or kind of harkening back to how the Grammys had you know, some of the artists go to local businesses that had been affected from the fires. I could see her doing like local or hyper local to the area that she lives in. I don't know if she's LA or, you know, New York or wherever she is based. But having her kind of highlighting just like maybe it's for you know, like it's the I'm trying to think of the name of it, but like maybe there's like a celebration or an international week for farmers markets, or she's working with co-ops in her area or something along those lines and encouraging the masses to look up and find resources of their own for that. Another one that I was thinking of is like her diving into smaller brands and you know it might cost a little bit more for the average consumer, but it's a product that's really quality and going to last you for your entire lifetime. So you're not going to have to do a whole lot of repurchasing. I know in the past she's worked with like Le Creuset, and that brand of cookware in general is extremely hardy. It's meant to like be passed down generation to generation. And I could see her having that kind of collab around kitchenwares make a lot of sense, right, to her audience. Those people tune in because she's cooking or she's making something like super intricate for her family. And then another one that actually a coworker of ours was talking about was this brand called Artie Poppy. I think it's was it a Dutch brand?
I think so.
But basically it's this like really chic baby carrier that you can like have grow with your baby until they're a toddler. They come in these really cool designs and everything. But it is a little bit more expensive and kind of fits into that smaller brands, but like high quality niche that I think that she would do really well in.
That's so interesting. I've never heard of that baby carrier.
I mean,
brand,
we
but
are
that's
babies, so I get
that
it.
is like exactly up her lane.
Yeah, for sure. So I think those would work well. We were also talking earlier, Bagoo, if you're familiar, they have a new line of bags coming out that are like recycled leather. And I could see her getting into like her crunchy side of like, oh, we're going to the farmer's market, but I'm bringing my Bagoo and it's actually their new line and that type
Yeah,
of thing.
I could absolutely 100% see.
That would be a really good fit for her too.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. I think we have time left for one more each. Chandler, if you want to pick one off the list and I'll pick one.
Sure.
Perfect. I'll start off with different direction again. Theo Vaughn. Yeah, so some past collabs that he has done are Manscaped, the hair trimmers, BetterHelp, Blue Chew, DoorDash, and Prize Picks, which is, I believe, sports gambling.
Okay, so when I think of Theo Von, immediately, obviously, you like picture him, and like he's a comedian at the at the heart of it. I think he could do something really funny with and like unexpected because I think while he looks like he's an outdoorsy guy, I don't think he actually is. I think he's kind of like a city slicker, as they say. I could see him doing something with like the REI co-op. And it's unexpected because maybe he's like that's part of the bit of it of like, how did I end up at the base of this mountain? And like, how am I gonna get up it? But he's wearing all of this gear from REI. I think that could be a good one for him. And I feel like I mean his podcast in general, I feel like it's like all the brochachos who are listening to it, which it's funny. I've listened to it in the past too. But I mean, what does a brochacho love more than a Yeti? So I think Yeti would be a perfect fit for him.
I love it.
Definitely.
I have one last one, and this is one that like I think might be truthfully a little cringe, but to me, I'm pretty much only seeing like the persona they put on. Okay, so it's Noah Beck, and he is a lifestyle influencer, and all he does is basically like fashion. That's pretty much like all he really does. So some of the collabs are Amy Paris, Burberry. He also does a huge thing for like Celsius, because obviously he's like he was gonna be like a D1 athlete and then um quit to be TikTok famous because I'm sure you make a lot more money.
Okay.
As you can tell, make $40,000 with 2 pictures. So
Right. It pays to be
yeah.
TikTok famous. Okay, cool. So I'm thinking for him, and I'm like only thinking this because I feel like he wants to be Timothy Chalamet, but I saw Timothy Chalamet talk
100%.
about how he likes to like stop in a Pret a Manger and get a snack and like a sandwich and a coffee and like go. And I could see Noah Beck like walking into a Pret like in a full like Burberry outfit or something. It could be like a
Love it.
situation. And what if it was around the idea of like maybe he has a specific meal there and people go and it's similar to stuff that like Travis Scott's done with McDonald's or
Yeah.
I know there's been some other ones at other fast food chains, but having say like the Noah Beck like special and then you just walk in and there it is and it's just like this completely curated thing to him. I think that could be a good fit for him for sure.
Nearly 6 million searches happen on Google every minute. What if your business could be the answer to some of those searches? With Google Ads, it can be. Google dominates search engines with over 91% of the market share, making it the ultimate platform to boost your visibility. With Google Ads, you can target a specific audience, whether it's by age, location, language. Your ad reaches the right people at the right time. With Digital Limelight Media, you have control. Our expert team will help you choose when your ads show and how often they appear. With Google Ads, you only pay when someone clicks. From search ads that appear right at the top of the page when someone is looking for your services, to display ads that catch eyes on other websites, Google Ads offer a variety of ways to make your brand stand out. And with our in-depth analytics and transparent reporting, you'll see exactly how your ads are performing and how you can get even better results. Ready to turn searches into sales? Visit dlmconversion.com today and let us illuminate the path to your digital success.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. When you are like watching TV, when you're watching, honestly, when you're on Instagram, when you're on TikTok, when you're pretty much doing like literally anything, you will be seeing campaigns, whether you like it or not. So I'm curious, like, has there ever been recent campaigns where you've been like influenced to buy, whether that's like, for example, like a skincare brand, or it's a clothing brand, or it's a new like restaurant that's down the road. I'm curious, like, to see if you guys have found anything that you're like, I think this is really gonna work for me. Like, this is really capturing who I am, and I'm definitely the target audience.
Fully, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I have some right off the dome ready to go.
Okay.
Most recently, I am this person now. I am mouth taping at night, and and every month from the Skinny Confidential because it's a cute little pink one that looks like lips, and I put it on every night. And I'm telling you, I've had some of the best sleep I've had in my adult life in the last 2 months because I've been doing this, and it left.
That's amazing, actually.
Listen, I looked at those videos, the sponsored ads, all of it for like a year before I actually did it, and then finally I was like, whatever, I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
And while I'm in, I'm hooked. I'm getting it every month. Same kind of idea with my skincare brand that I use. They send me a subscription every single month, and it just comes like clockwork every 30 days. I get my serum and I get my my moisturizer, and it's like, okay, I don't even have to think about this thing because I was influenced, I mean, for that one like 2-3 years ago, and it's just loop, and it just comes and shows up, and I don't have to worry about it. They also most recently, I would, outside of the mouth tape, Graza olive oil, because I love to cook, get the citrus for it, and I have figured out finally, I've had it for probably like 6 months now, but I've figured out like the timing in which we need the others to come through, and so you can adjust how long in between your orders, and if you cook a whole lot, you could have it come as frequently as every other week, which that would be insane if you're using that much olive oil.
Yeah, that could be
But I don't have to worry about picking that up at the store because I know good olive oil is coming to my house on schedule. So like I'm a big fan of the ones that have some sort of subscription model that like is something that I need, but then also like I was influenced over time to make that decision and do that thing because like I don't know, it's less of the quick hitters, I would say, than something like that where like I make a purchase decision based off of like all of these different ads hitting me over the course of amount of time.
I feel like that is, first of all, you are like the ideal client, like, or the ideal clientele. You want the subscription. You're not just a one-time purchase.
Exactly. I'm coming back.
Yeah, literally.
That's why I'm just
Like,
But honestly, that's like a literal perfect example because what I'm going to do is we're going to start to analyze like some recent marketing iconic like influencer campaigns specifically that are involved with like an individual. So we want to discuss like what worked and what didn't work, and then also what type of like takeaways we can take from the campaign.
totally.
So I'm gonna give you one, and it's like probably one of the most like iconic of all time, and it's the Michael Jordan Nike Air. Obviously Air Jordans, but I mean, who hasn't seen it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually recently saw they had an ad run during the Grammys actually. And it was "You Can't Ban Greatness," and it was basically telling the story from inception of them wanting to have a shoe specific to Michael Jordan to today, and if these decisions hadn't been made along the way, how big of an influence that one brand has had on so many different parts of culture.
Yeah.
So what I found to be so interesting and impactful from that ad and how it was presented to public is that it was storytelling, but within like 60 seconds. It was able to tell from start at day 1 to year 40, where we are now, of what that's looked like and see how it has influenced not just, sneakerheads or people who, are, interested in having a cool shoe. It has influenced how sport works too, because at certain points in history, when Michael Jordan wanted to wear that shoe, he was set to get fined $5,000 every single game that he was to play and wear those shoes. And Nike at first was kind of like, shoot, do we pay that fine every time? And they ended up paying that fine, and they're the most iconic sneakers as it comes to basketball to date. So if they hadn't have done that, if they had banned the shoe, if they hadn't, gone ahead and made all of these different changes along the way, or like put the emphasis on the brand itself along the way, then they wouldn't be who they are today, and they wouldn't have the following. And, people will spend like thousands of dollars on a pair of vintage Jordans, but like that's that level of influence that like that's built over time. That's not something that happens overnight. And
Yep.
it does go into kind of, I would implore everyone to watch that video, and maybe we can include it in our show notes. But it was really cool to see like how that influence is built over time.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna get into another example. This one's one that I've been following for quite a few years now. Not quite as long as the Air Jordans, but it's the Tarte brand trips. If you're familiar with beauty YouTube from All Bad Drama, then you are well aware of the Tarte brand trips. Some recent influencers that they've taken are Brie Chicken Fry, Ken Urich together at the same time. That was drama. And then Meredith Duxbury's always been on, Tana Mojo's been on. Like, there's been a lot of, like, if there's a big name in beauty influencer, they're on the Tarte trip that year. Brings a lot of drama to the brand, but they keep doing it, so, it must be successful enough. What are your thoughts on this campaign?
Honestly, I don't understand how Tarte has the money for this. I'm like, sure, you got Shape Tape, but what other parts of the brand are you in? Not to
It's
hate
the Shape Tape.
I'm
It's
not,
straight up the Shape Tape.
I'm not trying to hate on Tarte, but I haven't used Tarte since 2016. So
Yeah.
maybe they need to really influence on these brand trips, and they use that for the balance of the year. But like outside of that one trip, I don't hear about Tarte. So I'm wondering, how successful is it for them? If like, are these girlies who are, Meredith Duxbury, Brianna Chicken Fry, are they the right people to get that influence to go further? And are they writing their like, campaign guidelines basically of what they set up with these influencers to be as impactful as they could? Because like, sure, you can invite people on a trip, they post for a week or a weekend, and then they go home and then they're back to their normal beauty routine. People like, that's not impactful. That's 1 week. And they got to go fun, and what do I get?
Mm-hmm.
Same old Shape Tape I've always had. I don't know how
Definitely.
impactful it is. If it's like a long term, I would love to see metrics around what they're able to, support from that and get from those collaborations. But I don't know if I see it.
I agree. I feel like every year there's a scandal from it.
There's drama.
Well, and also like
drama from this.
like they were getting goodie bags, and the goodie bags had Hermes bracelets in it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting campaign, but it's been going on for so long. And I, like, as someone that worked at one of the big makeup stores for quite a while.
The black and white one.
The black and white one, it's the Shape Tape. It was like the #1 selling concealer for like years. So like they got Shape Tape money, I guess.
Wow, this whole time
This
whole time I thought you guys were seriously talking about like a tape.
No, it's literally concealer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Called Shape Tape.
They made a whole rest of the line based off of it, but low-key it flopped, so.
oof. Well, speaking of not flopping, this next campaign is, I feel like almost it took over my feed this summer. Like that's all I saw, and it was the Aloe Gym, the infamous Aloe LA gym that every single person and their mother was seen in, and also
Invite only, mind you.
oh yes, invite only,
Invite
literally. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like Glenn Powell, Jake Shane, Tate McRae, Noah Beck.
All the hobbies.
Oh, literally all of them. And they just opened a store in Detroit too. So I'm curious what you think on Aloe Gym.
I mean, Aloe Gym has done its job. Like, if they had one in every big city, you would see all the girlies going, all the hot boys going. Like, you would see people rolling into the Aloe Gym in the same way that people like tout their berries boot camp classes or Soul Cycle or whatever it is. And what they were able to do through that is create a sense of like want of something that people couldn't get, but what they could get was the outfit. They could order the leggings or the aloe hat, like that you see every bro wearing. Every bro has the black aloe hat, And you see these people wearing it, and then that makes you wonder, oh, wait, do they have a level of status that maybe I don't? Like they get to go to the aloe gym, or they, are participating in aloe classes or whatever it might be. And being able, in a similar way to how like luxury brands are able to create a sense of longing for whatever the product is that they're rolling out. It has this level of, I don't have clearance to that, but I do have a level of clearance to order a pair of leggings. And maybe they're the best leggings I've ever worn. Maybe they're not. I haven't personally purchased them, but
Yeah.
It's something that has created that kind of talk around it. And to have people like Glenn Powell, Tate McRae, and Jake Shane, the three people who you would never expect to be these, like connecting over the aloe gym, like I think that is it's something that gets people talking because they are all such different individuals with such different niches.
Yeah. And I, especially with Jake Shane, I really feel like he kind of normalized it. Like he made Pilates seem a little bit more for everyone than just for like this like little tiny skinny girls, like watching him like struggle, like literally struggle, like body shaking.
Struggle.
Yeah, like on those machines made me, number one, have like a lot of respect for people that do Pilates, but number two, be like, oh, like I could do it. Like it would be tough, but like I kind of want to do it now. It looks fun. And like going to like this exclusive gym with like all your hot friends, like it's exactly like every Gen Zer's dream, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap up this segment with one last example for you. The McDonald's x Travis Scott meal, Cactus Jack. I think like 2018, 2019. I was in college for this, and let me tell you, like my college town was like flipped upside down for like the Travis Scott meal. And I'm pretty sure all it was is like Sprite and like a Big Mac with barbecue sauce on it.
Well, this is a humble brag, but I in 2018 worked Lollapalooza and was able to just sneak my way into the Travis Scott Astroworld release party. And at that party, he had a bunch of different brands there, like Shake Shack and different like merch brands and stuff like that. And I, at that point, understood how tuned in he was to branding, and like maybe it's the Kris Jenner effect, I don't know, but he like knew what he was doing. And to have the collaboration with McDonald's makes like having something that feels inaccessible so accessible, and it has that like hype beast kind of like feeling behind it. So like, yeah, I got to get on this meal, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, I don't care, because I was able to get it for like $5 at McDonald's. And I think like the hype beasts in general, the Supreme guys, like everyone was very into that, and it was a complete success.
Yeah.
100%.
Need a digital makeover that screams wow? Dive into DLM's Design Wonderland. From pixel-perfect social media graphics to jaw-dropping website designs, we're giving Picasso of the digital age. Elevate your brand's visual game today. Contact your marketing specialist or contact our sales team to learn more.
So now that we've learned today that influencers can be a great way to market your brand, but there's still a lot of misconceptions that I feel like people have. We're going to go over some rapid fire thoughts and common misconceptions, and I kind of want to see what you think. So I'm going to start off. The more followers an influencer has, the more successful my collaboration campaign with them will be. True or false?
False. Because anything I said made sense this whole time. Oh, no, you could have like 500 followers and it be more successful than somebody who has 5 million followers. It's all about how engaged your audience is and if they're actually going to, capture onto whatever the messages you're sending them.
Definitely.
100%. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
Influencers always have to disclose a paid campaign.
Yes, they do. True. They do have to do that. It's literally like like it's just like user guidelines. You can't mislead people. So if it's an ad or a collage, even tossing like hashtag ad on it, that takes care of that for them and they're covered.
A lot of platforms too, I know, will even have like an ad little disclaimer that you
Yeah, like
Or it'll be
Tip.
called paid post or sponsored content.
Yeah, they make it really nice and easy. Another one, if I send an influencer a product from my shop as PR, as in I'm not paying them, they still have to talk about my product.
No, they don't. They don't, because I've been through this. I've seen it happen at my at one of my previous jobs. One of my clients at the time was a mochi ice cream brand. If you ever had it, it's delicious. But we sent ice cream to Tana Moja. I am calling Tana Moja out. And she didn't post. And then when I emailed her to see if she planned on posting, she said, "Oh no, we ate it, but you could send us more." And I said, "Girl,
That's so on brand for Tana, honestly.
Yeah, that's
like I
that's
can't even
hilarious.
get mad at you because you're at least being yourself." So yeah, no, they don't have to. It's just nice to have. And the farther we've gotten away from like 2000 early 2010s on, less and less people will post for free unless it's like something super catered to them, super niche. Same exact brand we sent to a couple who was on the show Vanderpump Rules, who had a unique nickname for one another that was really close to the brand's name, and we created a box that had a little kind of love note to the two of them, calling and like saying like, "Here, you can share this with your blank," redacted name of brand.
Yeah.
But they ended up posting about it because it was so like it was curated to them, and that was completely free. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have one really quick. Influencer marketing is only for big brands with massive budgets.
No, false. You could be a plastic surgeon who's working with, somebody who might have a decent following. I don't know, maybe they have 5,000 followers, and they don't maybe consider themselves to be a influencer in and of itself, but even everyday people have influence on each other. Like some of my dearest friends have, a good amount of following or, have, they have just good taste in general. If you're open to being open with your life, then you're an influencer. You don't have to, have this huge budget to make big strides within a community. You could just work with several key figures within a community and make a giant impact. And I think on a smaller scale, like with practices that we work for, that's how you leverage that. And you almost go to the well of people who you already know and work with within your patient load, because those are the people who trust you already. And it's a more genuine and authentic relationship.
Definitely.
Interesting.
I have one more. I think Chandler has one more too. But I'm gonna have my one more. And that is influencer marketing can be effective off and on social media.
Yeah, totally. It can totally be effective in both places. There's a big move happening with influencers that I'm seeing where they're being brought to say like award shows or are being put in situations where they're more so like an interviewer. Another instance of that I've noticed is like the show that I'm watching right now called The Traitors. I don't know if anyone watches it. It's excellent. But they invited a whole group of influencers to go to the castle in Scotland and play the game The Traitors before this season even started. And so that was an experience where they went, played this actual game that then was, also recorded separately with a different group of people who are also influencers in their own right. And they were able to promote that like on their social media, but also be used as like a way to talk about when the show does come out, their experience when talking to people who were then on the show. It's a little bit meta, but worked really well because they got a lot of exposure for this new season. And that wasn't completely on social media. So yeah, totally.
Okay, I've the last one. Influencers will say anything for money.
Um, the bad ones will. So sometimes the bad ones, and I'm not even saying that it's bad. It's the ones that are, I guess, looking for a money grab. And maybe that's where, oh, what was the girl's name from the beginning? Remy, where she maybe fell flat because yes, she was paid to do 2 reels, 2 posts for Aerie, $45,000, which is in some cases starting salary for people in their first, big adult job. Um, that's a lot of money to just say something, post very little. And I get where that level of, I wasn't surprised by that happening, but I'm also jaded to it at this point. She's saying those things and able to do that because they're paying her that much money, and she probably has less care around it, and that's why she was reckless with the link that she shared. Um, you know, when you're starting out too, it's hard because you have to build trust around your community, and if it's not something that's authentic, I think back in the day a lot more people could get away with just saying whatever they wanted, that they liked it or whatever. But with the de-influencing movement that's happened, and people, really honing in on what are the things that actually are adding to their life versus things that are just there in their life, you see less and less of people just saying stuff to say stuff.
Honestly, yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if those answers could have gotten better. Truthfully.
Thank you.
And then I think we have a quick call-in question.
Hi, Chandler and Lauren. My question is, are influencers still a good, reliable form of marketing?
Personally, I think that influencers are probably one of the stronger forms of marketing because truthfully, like that's what gets me. It's never really like a TV commercial or like a commercial on Hulu or even like an ad that I see on like Google. If it's anything that's going to get me, it's social media ads and influencers. So I would say that that's definitely a very reliable form of marketing. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. I even see it with some of my medical clients. Like I have some med spas around kind of like the LA area, and they will get calls from influencers that they've worked with, ones that post their work, ones that tag them, and then sometimes too the influencers will let them use their content, and so my clients will be able to post like the before and afters of like a famous influencer, and they'll get calls that are like, oh, I want exactly what so and so had done. So I think it definitely works, especially in the aesthetics realm, especially in the beauty realms, things like that where um there's just a lot of influence with people kind of wanting to imitate another person that they think is cool. That's great opportunities for collaborations.
I think my perspective on this is there's no one specific thing that's going to be the one thing for any brand in your marketing mix. And influencers and utilizing them in a way that is going to be effective. And that looks different for every brand, just like how every patient is different. Every, collaboration that you do like that is going to look different. But the marketing mix in general is built up of all of these different layers: ads, traditional marketing, SEO, influencer marketing, social media, word of mouth, all of these types of, traditional print, that kind of stuff. All of those things add up, and it takes a consumer a certain amount of times, between 7 and 9, if you were wondering, to make a purchase decision, especially on something that's big, like say a procedure or treatment that they're going to get on themselves. So yes, it's extremely effective for that maybe last step to make people see, oh yeah, I want that thing because I saw that person gave their endorsement on it. And it's a similar kind of idea to, on a very lower level, getting reviews from your patients, because those are endorsements of what you're able to give to the public. based on your technique, your services, your, mix of, what you have going on within your practice. So it is extremely effective. And it's just a matter of figuring out how the best way to leverage that is and how to fit that into the overall goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jules. We're so happy to have you back. As always, our producer Jules here. Yeah, we had some really good conversation about influencer marketing, and I hope you guys tune in to some really good other discussions that we've got coming up the rest of the season. And then also don't forget to tune in to our really cool guests that we've had the last few weeks. Yeah, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. Don't forget to give us a rate. Yeah, we'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Bye.
All right, we slayed.